Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Colin Tondu, and I will quickly discuss with you the exam preparation for August in terms of the Numeracy and Mathematics 2. So first of all, I want to welcome you all to Numeracy and Mathematics 2. And then I'm your tutor for NM22, and I will mark your assignment and the examination. So I urge you all to be hardworking, dedicated, and self-driven student by doing your examination preparation in advance. Please don't come and do your preparation few days before the examination. Start early and do the preparation in advance so that you can be ready. In this presentation, I will not go into details of what is in the examination paper, but I will focus more on what the question paper will consist of, how we want you to be able to answer the questions. So it will be more like a guideline, for example, of what everyone have to keep in mind when you are writing your examination. Now, the subject overview, the first thing that I want to talk about is the converting percentage and degree to real values. And then I will talk about drawing tables from graphs and vice versa. In other words, drawing graphs from tables or tables from graphs. Standard and expanded notation, as well as arranging numbers in ascending or descending order. And I will also talk a little bit about calculating fractions and finding the nth term. How do you use the nth term to find the fraction or so on? And then I will also talk about multiplication of decimals and solving word problem. So you need to know how to solve a word problem that consists of decimals, or a word problem that consists out of fractions and so on, or percentages. You don't have to focus only on decimals, but you need to prepare yourself, whether is it now decimals, or is it fractions, or is it percentages that come in a word problem, and you must be able to answer that one. The conversion from one unit to another, this one also you need to know all the units. You need to know kilometers, meters, volumes. You need to know all the other units that you must be able to convert, for example, in terms of distance, in terms of volume, in terms of any other units that can be given. It can be time, you can convert minutes to hours, days to years, and so on. And then solving word problem. And then at the end, we'll talk about the clock and analog. In other words, we want you to be able to read the time from an analog to a digital, or from a digital to analog, and you must be able to draw these things. Property on lines of angles and areas of shapes. Now, the very first thing that I want us to look at is the graphs. Say, for example, you have been given this one in examination. They say, use the information in the graph below and draw a pie chart showing all the values in degrees. Now, when you look at the table here, you see that there is a learner's time in a day. In other words, how much time a learner spends in a day, and they want you to write this as a pie. So what is it that you are going to do? First, you have to look at the values. When you look at the values, you see that playing is around 35%. Studying is around 10%. Sleeping is around 50%. And then TV is around, again, 10%. So you need to draw a pie. So what do you do when you're drawing a pie? The first thing that you do is you draw a round circle. So, and then you can see that for sleeping, there is 50%. So if there is 50%, you can already divide your pie in half, because you know that this is 50%, that is 50%. So this 50% is now for sleeping, for example. And then the other, you can now see how you can do your measurements to divide the other half, which is not taken care of. So the one thing is, what we know is that it is 35%, and then 10%, and then 10%. So 35 for playing, studying 10%, TV 10%. So in other words, the television and the playing will be equal. These two will be equal. So we can have the TV there, and we can have the studying there. So the rest that is left is for playing. And you can add the value there. This is now 35%, this is 10%, this is 10%. Or you can add the value also outside. You can have a key here, for example, where you say that 50% is sleeping, And then you can say another key here, maybe with a different color. You put it there, you say it's 10% for TV. And then you have another key here. You can say another 10% is for studying, and so on. And then the last key here will be 35% for playing, or something like that. So, or 40%. Usually this should be 40% because this is 70. No, it should be 30% actually. 40%. So so you have to see how you can work out for you to be at the end. The total of these percentages must give you 100%. So that is what you have to look at when you are drawing this. So it can be either from a graph to a pie, or it can be a pie to a graph, and so on. So it can be any one of the two. So you need just to be ready to know which one you are going to convert and how do you convert it, or how do you write from a pie to a table, or from a table to a pie. So you need to know that. Sometimes it's also from a table to a graph. So you need to know how to convert and how to write or to construct a table from a graph, or to construct a graph from a table. That is the preparation that you have to do. Now let's look at the decimal notation or standard notation. Now, in the examination, they are going to ask you, for example, or they might ask you, for example, convert the following value to standard notation. Now we know that the standard notation is what we call the scientific notation. Now if they give you, for example, 700, then you know that 700 is 7 times 100. But 100 is equal to 10 times 10. So meaning, for you to write 100 in a standard notation or in the scientific notation, you write 10 to the power 2, because you need to multiply 10 twice to get 100. Therefore, your final answer will be 700 is equal to 7 times 10 to the power 2, just as it is there. So any other number that you get, say for example they give you 800. So you know that this is 8 multiplied by 10 times 10. And that is actually 8 times 10 to the power 2. That is your standard notation that you're going to use. So if it's 1,000, for example, let's say is 30,000. Then you're going to say 3 times 10 to the power, then you have to know how many tens are here. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's to the power 4. So those are the things that you should know. Sometimes also the values can be negative, as you are going to see later. So say for example they have 5,326.6. So for you to convert that one to decimal or scientific, to standard or scientific notation, you have 5,305.3266 times 10 to the power 3. So what is happening here is that you look at the comma. This number is 5326.6. Now, the comma is here and it's going to move towards to your left. That is 1, 2, 3. If it moves 3 times to the left, it means that it's 5.3266 times 10 to the power 3, because the comma have moved 3 times to your left. If the comma moves to the right, it becomes negative, as you are going to show you in this next example. Now this next example is 0.0032. Now in this case, what we are saying here is that 0.00032 is equal to what? So the comma have to come here between the 3 and the 2. So for it to come there, it has to move 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to have 3.2 times 10 to the power negative 4, because it's moved to the right. So those are the few things that you need to understand and to know how to calculate them. The next one is 0.05. Now, if you have to write that one in standard notation, you're going to say 5, 0 times 10 to the power negative 2. Why negative 2? Because the comma will move twice to the right. If it moves twice to the left, it's positive. If it moves twice to the right, it becomes negative 2. Now, let's look at the arranging the following in descending order. Sometimes it can be descending or ascending order. It doesn't matter which one, but you need to know both of them. Now, in this case, you have been given fractions, and fractions are not easy to arrange. For example, if they have given you numbers, numbers are very easy to arrange. Say, for example, I give you 8, 11, 6, and 4. It's very easy if I say arrange these numbers in ascending order, for example. That means from small to big. Or if I say descending order, that means from the big one to the small one. It's very easy. So let's look at these numbers and we say, for example, we want to arrange them in ascending order. From the small one, we go to the big one. So you know this one will be number 1. Let's look, use another color. So this will be your number 1. That is the smallest. This is number 2. This is number 3. And this is number 4. So it's very easy for you to arrange those numbers. But it becomes a bit tricky when you look at fractions. So let's look at these fractions. How do we do it? Here we have 5 over 6, 7 over 10, 11 over 20 in a descending order. First, we find the lowest common denominator of the denominators of the fraction to make the denominators the same. That's the easiest way to do it. So the lowest common denominator of 6, 10, and 20, you can say is 2 times 5 times 3 times 1 times 2. So the lowest common denominator there for 6, 10, 20 is 60. Lowest common denominator means the lowest number where all these 3 denominators can enter, and that is 60. So from there, you can also do it this way, as a small table that I show you there, for 6, 10, and 20. And then for 3, 5, and 10, and 3, 1, 2, that is how you get those numbers. Now, when you see here is 5 over 6 is equal to 5 times 10 over 6. Now, why are you multiplying it with 5? Because for you to get 60, you need to multiply 6 times 5. So when you multiply the bottom, you multiply also the top. And then that's how you get 50 over 60. And then for the next fraction, we say 7 over 10 is equal to 7 times 6. Why 7 times 6? Because for you to get the 60, in this case, you need to multiply it by 7. And then the next one, the same story, 11 over 20 is equal to 11 times 3 times 20. Why? Because for you to get 60, you need to multiply 20 times 3. So it's 20, 20, 20. So the same with the 7. For you to get that number, you need to multiply it also with 7. So, and that is the explanation that is how you get to the 60. Now let's look at what is next. Now we can compare this like fraction, because now the fractions are all having the same denominator. It's 50 over 60, 42 over 60, 33 over 60. We see that all of them have 60 as their denominator. So now we can actually see which one is big and which one is small, because now all the denominators are the same. So how do we see it? So comparing the numerators, we find that 50 is bigger than 42 and 42 is bigger than 33. So that is your order. Now you know that the one for 50 is big, and then it's followed by 42, and then it's followed by 33. The denominators now, the numerators now. That's what you are looking for, because all the denominators are the same. They are all 60. So you have to look at your numerators. Sorry. So now when you look there, we can say, therefore, 50 over 60 is bigger than 42 over 60, and that is bigger than 33 over 60. Or if you look at the equations themselves, or the original fractions, you see that 5 over 6 is bigger than 7 over 10, and that one is bigger than 11 over 20. And that is how you do it. This is the easiest way to do it. The other way to do it, because there are two ways, if you find this one interesting, you can also use this one, where you have 5 over 6, and you have 7 over 10, and you have 11 over 20. But this one, the method that I want to show you now, you need to use a calculator. In other words, you divide this one by that one, you divide that one by that one by that one, and you get the answer. Now the answer that you will get, you will see that is 0 comma something and 0 comma something. Let's look at that first one. You will notice that they are actually different. When you divide there, you say 5 divided by 6, your answer so you will get an answer 5 divided by 6, and that is equal to 0.8333 and so on. And then the next one is 7 divided by 10, that gives you 0.7. And then the next one is 11 divided by 20, and that is 0.55. So now when you look at this one, you can even see also for yourself that 0.8 is bigger than 0.7, and that is bigger than 0.5. That is also another way to do it if you don't want to use the lowest common denominator issue or way. And then you can arrange your fractions in that way. So the descending order is actually 5 over 6, 7 over 10, 11 over 20. Now let's look at the calculations of fractions. Here I gave you some examples of how do we calculate fractions. We have 3 over 4 plus 1 over 5, for example. Now 3 over 4 is equal to 15 over 20. How did we get 15 over 20? What did we do? That's probably the question that one will ask now. How do we get from there? So what we do here is that we are trying to find the lowest common denominator between 4 and the denominator 5. So in other words, for example, for you to get to 5, you need to multiply 5 by 4. For you to get to 20, you need to multiply by 4. What I'm trying to say is that you need to divide 4 by, or multiply 4 by 5 to get to 20. So when you multiply with 5, the 4, you also must multiply the 3 with 5. That gives you 15. For the 1 over 5 is the same story. You multiply everything by 4. If you multiply 5 by 4, you get 20. If you multiply 1 by 4, you get 4. So at the end of the day, we have two fractions with the same denominator, which is 20. That means now it's 15 over 20 plus 4 over 20. That gives you 19 over 20, and that is your final answer. So that is how it goes. Now let's look at finding the formula for the nth term. There is this formula that I want you to really keep in mind. When you know this formula, it becomes very, very easy for you to find the nth term or the formula for an nth term. The formula that I want you to know is, we say is dn plus, you put a bracket, a minus d. You close your bracket. If you know that formula, please just know that it becomes very easy for you to find any nth term. Now, what do we mean with this dn plus brackets a minus d? In this term, for example, we have 6, 11, 16, 21. I want to give you, for example, an example how you should be able to understand this. So, you have 6, 11, 16, 21. Probably you might wonder, okay, how does this one increase? This one, 6 to 11, it increased by 5. Plus 5 is 16. Plus 5 is 21. It's very easy for you to see that, because you can see that it every time is increasing by 5. But they are asking for the nth term. You must write a term. So for you to write the nth term, you use the formula dn plus a minus d, and your d is usually 5. Where did you get the 5 from? the number that the previous term is increased by. So if that number is maybe decreasing, is minus 5, then your D will be minus 5. If it's increasing by 5, your D will be plus 5, plus 5, plus 5 every time. So, and your A will be 6. Now, where do we get the 6 from? The 6 is your first term that you get in that number, that numbers that you are getting. The very first term, that if it's 7, your A becomes 7. If it's 3, your A will become 3. So that is the formula. So now when you have that, how does your nth terms look like? It will be nth term is equal to 5n. The 5 is the number of increasing, the D that we find, plus 6, which is now your first term, minus 5, which is now your nth term, D again. And that is equal to, when you solve that formula, you will see you subtract 6 minus 5, it gives you 1. So your nth term will become 5n plus 1. Now let's look at this one. And I try to do it here so that you can see how we do it. So what we say here is that the formula is dn plus a minus d, for example. Now in this one, you will see that from 4 to 10, there is a 6. From 10 to 16, there is a 6. From 16 to 22, there is a 6. From 22 to 28, there is a 6. So you notice already that your D will be 6. And your A will be 4. So let's look at that, what we are saying now. So the D in this case is 6 because it's every time is increasing by 6. So D is equal to 6. And now our first term, which is A, sorry, this is D, this is A. Our A will be 4 because that's the first term. Every time when it goes up, it goes, the very first one is a 4. So in our formula, the nth term, it will be, we're going to have, in this formula, our D is 6, N plus, what is our A? We say our A is 4 minus 6, we close the brackets. So from there, we have 6n plus, then you solve this one in the brackets, you say 4 minus 6, and that is negative 2. So your nth term will be 6n minus 2. And that is your nth term that they are looking for. Very simple and very easy. Let's look at how we get it. So that is it. Which means that the formula and everything that I was just writing now is there. 6n minus 2. And that is how we get our nth term that we are looking for. Now, let's look at word problems and fractions. Sometimes they give you a word problem with fraction. They would tell you 2/3 of the people did not do the work. How many people did not do the work? If in a classroom, for example, if there is 60 learners and so on. Can we look at this example? There are 24 hours in a day. A scientist tells us that we must sleep 3/8 of the day. How many hours should we sleep? That's a question. So what we do is we want to find out how many hours is 3/8. If we have to sleep every day for you to function the next day properly, you need to sleep a third of 8 hours. So what we do is we say 3/8 times 24 because we know that in a day there are 24 hours. So when we multiply that, we see that your answer is 9 hours. Meaning that in 24 hours, 9 hours you must sleep for you to function very well the next day. So that is how we find it. So you multiply the 3/8 multiplied by 24 and you'll find an answer of 9 hours. Very simple. If we are supposed to work for 12 hours a day, for example, calculate what fraction we're supposed to work per day in its simplest form. Now here, we know that 3/8 we sleep. Now what we want to find out, what is the fraction that we're supposed to work in terms of 12 hours. If we have to go to work and work for 12 hours. So what we do is we say x over 8 multiplied by 24 because we don't know x. We don't know it. So when you put it, 24x over 8 is equal to 12 over 1. Therefore, x is equal to 4, meaning we should work 4 over 8 hours, which will be equal to 12 hours. Now, what they were looking for the fraction. They give you the hours, now they are looking for the fraction. Sometimes they give you the fraction, and they are looking for the hour. So you need to know, as I show you in these two, how to move from this one to this one and vice versa. And that is how you do it. So if you want to find out the fraction, you put x over 8 times 24. If you want to find out the hours, you put 3 over 8, for example, times 24, and then you get the hours for sleeping, and then the hours for work. Okay, let's look to the next one. Word problem with percentage. Sometimes they give you word problems that are having percentages, and you need to find out the percentage or the answer. So, say for example, we have 24 students in a class took an algebra test. They did the test, they are 24. Now, if 18 students passed the test, what percentage did not pass? So we know there are 24 students, but 18 students pass. We want to know what percentage did not pass. We are not looking for the percentage that passed. We're looking for the one that did not pass. So what do we do is, so x percentage, which we don't know, of 24 is equal to 6. Now, where do we get the 6? We get the 6 by minus 24 minus 18, give you the 6. Or you can say x percentage times 24 is equal to 6 for you to get that. Then you know that the student who did not pass, they are 6. Those who passed, they are 18. The total is 24. Now, to get the percentage, they're not looking for the student, they are looking for the percentage of student. So to get the percentage of student, you just divide 6 by 24, and that is 6 over 24 is equal to 0.25. Now that 0.25, you need to convert it to percentage by multiplying it, by dividing it with 100. And that gives you 25% of students who did not pass. Sometimes they can continue and go ahead and say, okay, now what is the percentage of students that pass the test? So you can say, for example, 100 minus 25, and it gives you 75. Then you know that 75% of the students passed and 25 did not pass the test. Profit and loss, very, very important. Sometimes they give you a table, and they have profits, loss, and so on. Cost price, selling price, and so on. You need to find, sometimes you need to find the cost price. Sometimes the profit, you need to find the profit, or the percentage lost. For example, if you sell the thing and you sell it for a cheaper price than what you bought it, then you lose. That percentage loss is very, very, very critical. So say, for example, John bought a laptop for 8,000 and spent 500 on its pay. In other words, he bought maybe bags and so on for 500. The laptop was 8,000. He later sold it for 9,500. Find his gain or loss in percent, loss percent. In other words, we don't know whether he lose or he gain. But for you to find out whether he lose or he gain, you need to add 8,000 plus the 500. That gives you 8,500. But he sell it for 9,500. So logically thinking, you can say that he gained $1,000. Now, we are not looking for the $1,000. We are looking for the percentage. In terms, you need to convert that one in terms of percentage. So, cost price include the overhead expenses and also, therefore, the cost price is 8,000 plus 500. That is 8,500. The selling price is 9,500. So the selling price is bigger than the cost price. Therefore, it is a profit. Now, profit is equal to selling price minus cost price. That is how you do the calculation. That is 9,500 minus 8,500. That gives you $1,000. Profit percentage is equal to profit divided by cost multiplied by 100. That is a percentage that they are looking for. So you can say the profit that he made is 1,000, and you divide that by 8,500 and multiply by 100, and you get an answer of 13 over 17%. So therefore, John gained a percentage. They are looking for the percentage. They are not looking for the money. So you need to give it into percentage. So, and that is the percentage that he gained. Now, converting from one unit to another. Very, very important. That you need to know how to convert any given thing, whether it is time, whether it's speed, or whether it's volume or distance. You need to be able to convert from one unit to another. Now here I'm giving you an example. 10 days plus 3 hours. 10 days, 3 hours. You add it to 2 days, 15 hours. You add it to 4 days, 6 hours. Say, for example, this is the amount of time that the person spent working, and you need to pay this person. So he have worked, in February, he worked 10 days and 3 hours. In March, he worked 2 hours, 2 days and 15 hours. And the other, he worked 4 days and 6 hours. Now you need to add this thing together. The very first thing that you need to do is you need to put like stamps together. Those days, you put the days together, and the hours, you put them together. So when you calculate the days, for example, you have 10 days, you have 2 days, you have 4 days. You add them together. Then you have 3 hours, and then you have 15 hours, and then you have 6 hours. You put them together in brackets as shown here. So at the end of the day, when you add all those days, you will notice that is 10 plus 2 plus 4, it gives you 16 days. And the hours is 3 plus 15 plus 6, and that gives you 24 hours. So, but then in the end, you need to find the total. The total is 17 days, because the 24 hours, you can convert it to a day, and you add that day to the 16, and it becomes 17 days. So the next one is draw a clock or showing the following times. For example, they say, please draw these clocks. Very, very, very important. And many people make simple mistake with this one. For example, if you have to draw a clock, you need to draw your clock, which is a round, and then you divide it. You divide it like that, because you know that this is 12, this is 3, this is 6, this is 9. So from there, you need to put only 2 in between. 2, 2, and this is your sender. Now, the first one is saying it is 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, which is 00H00. So 12 o'clock, your long stick will be showing towards 12. And your short one will also show towards 12. So you will not really see the stick, because it will show that that is 12 o'clock. But then when it is now, for example, the second one, which is 15:15. So you do the same, you draw a stick there, 2, 2, 2, 2. Very simple. Then you have your 12 hours. That is your sender. Now the first stick is the long one. Where is the long stick showing? It's showing at 15. So this is 12. 1, 2, 3. So this is 15, because this is 5, 5, 5. So 15 is here. So your long stick will show towards 15. But then your short stick, please, it will not show towards 15. It will be a bit out of 15 there, because it's now past 15, but very close to that, because here you must know that it is moving towards that side. So that is how you show 15:15. Now calculate the area of triangle with a base 4 centimeter and a height of 80 millimeters. Let's look at this calculation. For example, we know that to calculate the area of a triangle, you have base times height times the breadth. So if you have to calculate this, you can just, it's base times height actually. So the base is 4 centimeter, the height is 80 centimeter. But you'll notice that this is not the same unit. 4 centimeter is not the same as 80 millimeters. So what you need to do first is you need to convert your 80 millimeters to centimeter, or else you can convert your centimeters to millimeters so that you can have similar values. So 80 millimeters is actually 8 centimeter. So if you want to calculate that one, it's base times height, then you have 8 times 4. And 8 times 4 will give you an answer, and that is the answer that you will get for you, and it will be squared because it's an area. Now, final words. To conclude, I just want to tell you that you need to, if you have a problem, you can call me between 17 and 200, which is now 8 o'clock. So between 5 and 8, you can call me during weekdays only. If you need the tutor's assistance, my contact details is 081 47 27 800. That is my phone number. So you can call me if you have any difficulties or things that you want me to explain. But please do it early. Don't come and do it the last day when you are writing tomorrow. Try to do your working earlier and your calling and your explanations earlier so that you can understand these things in advance before even we start to prepare for the examination. Use your assignment and this presentation to prepare for your examination. Your examination will be based on what we discuss now and also what is in the assignment, and also what is in your study guide. So you need to look at all these things because we don't want you to look at only one thing or one document. You just look at this presentation, and then when it comes into examination, it is not exactly what, but it's related. So you need to understand when we talk, for example, about standard notation or conversion of things, you need to know that it is not only that, but it is a lot of, is in that area that we are assessing in terms of the examination. The length of your answer should match the number of marks. Please don't write long things just for 2 marks. You need to think the facts that you are giving. If there is 2 marks, just give 2 facts. If there is 5 marks, give 5 facts. If you have to calculate, please show the example. Don't just write the answer. If you just calculate somewhere there and you write the answer is 200, you will just get 1 mark and you lose the other 2, because in the other 2 marks is based on the method that you are using and how you are doing your calculation. So it's very, very important that you look at the marks and you make sure that your answer correlates to that mark. And then start preparing for examination in advance, as I said already. Write as neatly as you can. People are losing marks because they don't write neatly. The issue of students who leave questions unanswered, they see that this is a difficult question and so on, and then they just skip and they go and do the rest, and 10, 20 marks, they are not answered. At least try to answer something on that. Even if it's difficult or you don't understand that topic or the answer to that one, you can try. And by trying, you might end up finding that this is the right answers anyway. I wish you all the best.